Hi art friends, welcome to Miss TP Draws Stuff. Today I'm going to draw this leaf that I found in my yard. It is fall where I am and the leaves are falling, but it's been quite a wet season so far. So the leaves are not as pretty as they would normally be. I went out hoping to find like a yellow leaf or maybe one that was kind of orange, and I did not find one. I found this brown one and I thought it was pretty. Um, People don't appreciate brown as much as they should, I think. I think brown is a really lovely color. I'm quite a fan of it. So I really love to find it in nature. Of course, now, if I had found a yellow or an orange leaf, that would have been great. I would have enjoyed drawing that, especially when I can add colors. Um, I could paint, or I think a yellow leaf in chalk would be really pretty. Fun to play with the chalks that way too. But brown is underappreciated. There's so many beautiful browns and grays. Oh, I love grays in nature. Perhaps you're noticing as I sketch that my drawing is not exactly like the leaf. That's okay. Since I'm the artist, and since this is not a drawing that I decided I would do to be exactly like real life, but kind of for fun, I'm allowed to make whatever changes I like. Now, when I finish this line, if I look at it and decide it's not quite what I had in mind, I have an eraser and I can change it. But I prefer just to go with whatever I end up with. Unless there was something lost from the original when I made the changes, if some essential aspect of beauty was lost, I just go with it. The fun part is the drawing. I am a professional artist. I'm also an art teacher. I am going to change the top. I want that to be a little higher. One of the most important things I tell my students, and that I try to practice myself, is practice. So just drawing as often as you can. It is the number one thing you can do as an artist to become better at your art. By the way, this is a kneaded eraser. It's a tiny piece of a kneaded eraser that I keep here on my drawing table for when I need it. I don't actually erase that much. I think most artists don't erase that much. Drawing pencils don't have erasers. And that's because a lot of times it's not about arranging two-dimensional shapes next to each other in your artwork. It's actually about layering your drawing. I tell my students that we're building a drawing. We're not drawing a drawing, we're building it. It's a 3D way to think about two-dimensional drawings. I say that in this one. I don't know that I'm really building this the way that I mean when I talk to them. When I'm talking to them, I would advocate for them to make like the shape of the leaf, this big oval. I probably should have done that on this, but it's okay to try different ways. I would make the shape of the leaf, and then I would make the shape on top of that of where these little pointy bits stick out. And then on top of that, I would start to add in, some of these forms that I see. And then the lines and the little blemishes on the leaf, I would add those on top. And it's like it builds up from the page, not around on the page. Makes me think of a book I read years ago. It was called Flatland. And it's just like a novella. It's not a long book. But it was about this culture of shapes. And they all existed in a two-dimensional world. And they could only sense each other by feeling the edges of the shapes around them. And the hierarchy of the society was determined by those edges. So For example, if you were a triangle, you had only 3 angles and you were not considered a significant member of society. You'd be working class, definitely not powerful in that society. And if you were a circle, you had more angles than could be counted. So you were considered quite powerful in that society. So even though I said I like to just go with the shapes, here I am changing the shapes. I wouldn't do it if I didn't feel like it. So I think it's a lesson in how every drawing you make is sort of its own creation. It's good to have a practice of creating where you do follow a pattern that works for you, but in sketches, I don't know that that's as essential as it is in a finished work of art where you want to really be as strong as you can in the final image. And the way you do that is through mastering every step of the process. And I'm not making these videos to create finished works of art. I'm making them just to draw. It's like a way to make me stay on top of my sketching, to do it as often as I say I need to, but also just to provide a resource for my students and anybody else in the world who just wants to learn how to do that, wants to see somebody else do it, wants to just watch people draw. I often find that my students really love to just watch me work, and I only work close to them when I'm trying to demonstrate a topic or give an example of our learning. And I will, sketch for them or paint for them, and they become so quiet and mesmerized. And I realize I do the same thing when I'm watching somebody else work. It's very soothing to watch and interesting without requiring much from you. And so I wanted to provide that kind of experience for them, without there being a learning target attached to it. Just an experience of drawing. And hopefully it motivates them to sketch more often themselves. I know I get like a bunch of inspiration when I'm watching other people work. It feels like, oh, I just really want to go to my studio and I want to draw and I want to paint. I want to work in chalk. Chalk's actually my favorite medium. Most of what I do is in chalk. I almost minored in drawing in art school. I had a lot of drawing credits as part of my illustration major. So I definitely considered it. It was something I thought about doing. And then didn't. I didn't really feel like I needed it to carry on with my little art career. But I thought about it. I do enjoy drawing. I think that's why I like chalk, because it's a drawing medium, really. I think it's sort of on the edge between drawing and painting, technically. I've heard people refer to pastel artworks as paintings, and I understand why. But I definitely don't control my pastels as if they're paint. Okay, now when I'm looking really closely at the lines on this leaf, there are so many of them. I love the way leaves remind me of the human body. So all these little veins in the leaf, they remind me of all the little veins in our bodies. And when I'm studying a leaf this closely, I think about how my body is working, how the blood in my body is carrying oxygen to all parts of my body. And it's because of this tiny detail in the design of humans that that we're able to function, that we're able to do the big things that we do. We depend on these tiny things. I am not going to draw every one of these lines. In fact, at this point, I think I'd like to kind of use my imagination and start creating little lines that are artistically pleasing to look at. but not necessarily true to reality. This is called artistic license. And the way I say it to my students is, you're the artist, you get to decide. If my purpose were to make a scientific rendering of these leaves, it would be essential for me to copy them exactly the way I see them, because that's important. If I'm being a citizen scientist and I'm making a record of this organism that I've found, then yeah, that would be essential to be accurate. But I'm not doing that. I'm drawing for fun. And when I'm drawing for fun, I have liberty, freedom. I can make choices for myself about my artwork. I kind of like it just like that. Ooh, I really like it. All right, now this is the step where I would start to darken parts of the drawing. It looks nice, but I don't want it all to be the same value. And I can shade to add value. But the thing I like to do first is add line weight by darkening not all of my lines, just some of my lines. Anywhere where I perceive there needs to be this line weight, either because there is actually this line weight in the original, or because I think it would balance the drawing, or other reasons for movement. You know, anytime you think about the elements and principles, for those of you who don't know, the elements of art and the principles of design, or what I'm referring to, when you're thinking about those as an artist, you change some of your decisions to manipulate those things, and it controls the way a viewer sees your artwork, how they look at it and interact with it. So when I'm considering those things, I might decide to change my lines a little bit for the sake of movement or contrast or balance or harmony. Those are all principles of design. If you don't know about them, I'm not going to talk about them in this video, but I do encourage you to try to find out more. They really are essential to craftsmanship and communication in an artwork. Ooh, I like it. Okay, so the thing I actually liked about this leaf when I found it in my yard were these little spots. It's got these little spots on it. Like I said, it's been a very wet season here, and the leaves are not turning the way they normally would. You know, I think it's showing the way they are turning, you know, reflects that weather. I think. I don't actually know for sure, so I could be completely wrong. It makes a different kind of leaf, though, is what I perceive. That's what I'm guessing. That the leaves seem different when I find them on the grounds, and they have these little, but many of them had these little splotchy things. And I think those are really pretty to draw. You know, brown leaves that look like this, they don't stand out to us. If you're leaf hunting in the woods or in the park or in your yard, you're not going to go for the brown leaf covered in spots. It doesn't seem remarkable. It seems very ordinary. But then when you start drawing it, I think you experience that. I think it's a kind of awe that comes from studying something closely. And you start to see, like, oh, these spots, they have an interesting kind of position on the leaves. They're different shapes. There's something beautiful about it. Beauty is such a hard thing to define for humans. We have different perceptions of it. I'm making circles for these, even though when I look at them closely, I notice they're not really circles. They're more like collections of little pixely fuzziness. Right. So I often think artists have a broader perception of beauty. We can see that things are beautiful, you know, divorced from their content meaning. So this leaf, you know, in reality, it's not really alive anymore. It's fallen off the tree. it's going to become dirt and go back into the tree, really, in a different form. And that's not especially attractive to think about. But I think an artist is able to consider that, to consider how beautiful the spots are in the lines and the brown, how it's different in places, and kind of not think about it in the cycle, the context of its natural cycle. Or perhaps we do see the natural cycle and see how that is actually part of what makes it beautiful, that it's serving a purpose, that this is part of its job, to die, to fall off the tree, to become dirt, and continue to support the tree. By the way, I'm using a 6B pencil. Now I'm doing a little bit of shading. I don't know if I'll shade the whole leaf, I haven't decided yet. But I did want to shade these spots. They're pretty just drawn, but I don't think they really look like the spots on the leaf that way. If I shade them, they're more like the spots on the leaf. Now the hard part actually I'm finding is making it feel fuzzy on the outside of these circles. It's not really a circle up close. There are lots of them, and I'm not drawing all of them. Like here's one over here, there's one there. Oh, I like that mark that I made where I didn't draw a circle. So maybe the key to this is instead of drawing little circles, just make the marks. That might be more successful if I were to do this again. That's part of the journey as an artist, really, to self-assess as you go. To think like, oh, this worked or this didn't work, and to try to do that without judgment. One of the battles my students face regularly is that they're so hard on themselves. And I don't understand what they expect, because if you're a student learning to be an artist, why would you be great as soon as you start? You wouldn't be. And to have that expectation of yourself, or to think that other people have that expectation of you, is really not fair to you or them. Instead of just enjoying the journey, recognizing from the beginning that this is a process, that you don't just know how to make art, know how to draw, know how to paint. You have to learn that. And if you didn't have to learn it, it wouldn't be valuable. It would be one more thing that you can do because you're human. But we do have to learn it. Ooh, I like that. And it's fun to learn, but you really do have to let go and be able to self-assess. Think, yeah, this is good, or this could have been better. I like the way I did this or that. Next time I would do this thing differently. And I say that as if all professional artists are that well adjusted, and we're not. We're hard on ourselves sometimes too. I think, though, we're more used to just making art and not sort of agonizing over every piece. You know, we do hit roadblocks. We do have doubts about ourselves. It's part of being creative, but I don't think we do it on every single project and every single part of those projects. I think we just push through. We've learned to push through and kind of deal with it. Doesn't mean you don't have doubts. It just means you process them a little better. All right, so I didn't want to color this one in because it's actually a hole in the leaf. I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of a hole in the leaf. There's another one of those right here that I'm going to draw. And I know you're not close enough to see what I can see, so I'm just going to do my best, and you've got to trust me that that's what it looks like. This little hole in the leaf, and I think it would look nice if there were like a tiny one next to it. Oh, I like that a lot. Okay, now because it has the holes in the leaf, I do think I need to shade a bit of the leaf. so those stand out as holes. But I'm not gonna be super diligent about my values here. I'm just interested in creating a value. In some places it'll be a little bit darker. I'm using the side of my pencil for shading this time. I don't often do that actually. I usually shade with a quick sort of hatching. I don't know why I went for the side of the pencil shading this time. But I'm going to keep it going now that I've started it. And remember, it's a sketch, so if I don't like it on this one, the next time I draw a leaf, I will not do it. I will do something else. I love being an artist. It's just so fun. And it's so fun to have these conversations with myself. Like, I'm talking out loud to you right now because for the sake of the video, but I feel like when I'm not making a video and I'm drawing, I'm still talking like this, just in my own head. It's nice. I feel that way when I watch Bob Ross too. Like the things he's saying to us, he'd be saying them anyway in his TV show. But he would just be saying them in his head if he weren't filming a TV show at that time. Okay, I'm pleased with that. Oh, I like my leaf a lot. Great. Who knows? I might one day develop this into an artwork. For now, though, I like that it's just a sketch in my sketchbook. It can sit here until I decide what else to do with it, or I might not do anything with it, and it's just an exercise that I did to practice to keep my skills going. I noticed a few differences. This side is a lot darker. There's actually a strong highlight right here. And I think I put more of a highlight here and here. I'm not going to change mine. I actually like this version better. So I'm going to leave it like that because I'm the artist. I'm going to darken a little bit around that little hole so it stands out. All right, I hope you enjoyed drawing with me today or just watching me draw or whatever. I'm so glad you were here, and I'll see you next time. Bye!